House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
All right, everybody. All three of us here on House to Home today have wonderful virtual backgrounds. I, of course, am in the studio. Maybe not. Maybe I might be home. Liz Duenas is, of course, in the friendly confines of her office downtown in Hagåtña. Gina seems like she's on a tropical beach, but Gina, you know lying's a sin, right?
Yes, that's why I'm not saying anything.
Okay, because you're in the Bay Area right now, and I'm insanely jealous because there's some real good food, good sports town, and but you know they can't hold a candle to us when it comes to like talking about real estate.
Yeah, well, I'm in the Bay Area, as you can see. There's the bay behind me.
Clearly, yeah. Okay, let's not. Maybe next time you can go and scout some properties for us on Lombard Street because that place is crazy, but.
I'll keep that in mind, Jace.
But you know, one of the similarities, ladies, that of course Guam shares with our friends over in the mainland is this concept of VA loans and making certain benefits available to those who put on the uniform and served before. So we've talked a little bit about VA loans, but not in a while. So are there any new developments, or maybe to start with you, Gina, what are some things that people always ask about VA loans when it comes to real estate?
Well, I want to mention that. Want to thank Bank of Hawaii, Calvin Hernandez specifically. He came to our office. We've been most interested in learning what we could. And it's actually Calvin who reached out to us and suggested that we learn what we could about the assumable VA loans. The VA loan program has always been assumable. And what Calvin wanted to point out, and the reason he pointed this out is with the current interest rates going up right now, if you go into the bank and you try to apply for a VA loan, I believe you're anywhere from maybe 6.5% to 7.25% on the interest rates, which is significantly higher than what it's been in the last few years. And Calvin's point in reaching out to us is, he said, hey, we have a lot of vets that had purchased homes with these very low interest rates, and now they're getting ready to leave the island. And a majority of them are not going to want to rent their properties when they leave. They're looking to sell. So he taught us about the assumable mortgages so that we can in turn educate the buyers that are coming in to work with Remax Diamond Realty, what they could do if they were interested in assuming these VA loans that are on them, that are the homes themselves are getting listed and they were under a VA assumable loan.
Yeah. Liz, what is the let's call it the tempo been with people that want to avail of like VA loans over the last 2 years? Because everything's been topsy-turvy. The macro economy, of course, your industry, but has VA loans and the interest in them stayed relatively stable?
Earlier they had good rates, but just bear in mind the past number of years, the volume of VA loans have been higher over the past, let's say, 10 years. So the past 4 to 5 years, we've been getting more VA buyers in comparison to our early years in real estate. And part of that is, when the marine buildup started to pick up, all of a sudden everyone figured the market will change and prices will go up. So VA buyers, they might as well utilize their housing allowance towards the purchase of the home, because in essence, either they pull, but just bear in mind, we need to point out that VA loans, a lot of people assume that VA loans, you go in, you don't pay anything, but there are fees associated with VA loan, such as your escrow fee and also your points, your closing points, which could be put into your package with your loan. So many had the idea, well, VA loan, great, it's free, we don't have to pay anything. And we would say, oh, I'm sorry, that's not necessarily the case. There are still out-of-pocket expenses. But the market for veteran buyers have gone up. But because of the interest rates increasing, as Gina put it, that there is another means to purchasing a home that you can assume the loan. And we found out that it may not necessarily be a VA buyer that assumes the loan. The only thing is you have, of course, the key element is you have to qualify for the loan. Now, if Jason, you own a home and your balance on the home is $100,000 and the buyer qualifies for a certain amount, bear in mind they'd have to kick in the difference if their loan did not substantiate the full amount of the purchase price. So if you had 100,000 left and you're asking 500,000 and I qualify for only 400, then if I wanted to assume your loan, I'd have to kick in the difference, just to
Oh,
make
okay.
I only
The
qualify for
equation
4.
balances itself in that way. Okay, I didn't realize that.
If I only qualify for 400 and I wanted to assume your loan, I could do so, but I still have to pay.
Gina, I got a real quick question, and I'm like kicking myself for never asking this before, but say, I'm of a certain age right now. Are there any concessions made for people, like say I'm a civilian right now, but and I qualified for and already got a private bank loan and I'm paying off my mortgage right now. What if I decide to enlist in the military and I put in, like a couple of years? Would they take that into consideration and maybe retroactively make that, or is your rates at the time of when you applied for the loan as a civilian?
No, Jace, you know what? When you go in, let's say you join the military tomorrow, and then you're in the military for the number of years that enables you to qualify for VA loan, because you have to actually serve some time in there. You don't just join the military and then you can avail yourself of a VA loan.
Right.
You have to qualify for it.
You got to earn those stripes, literally.
Yeah, you got to earn the privilege of using the program. But once you do, then your interest rate is going to be based on what the market rates are at the time. And that's why we're having this discussion, because we're going to have people that are going to be putting their homes for sale who got their VA loan in the last few years, and now they're putting that property on the market. And what Bank of Hawaii, because it was Bank of Hawaii who came to train us, what Bank of Hawaii was explaining is these people. So if you got your loan 2 or 3 years ago, or even a year ago, your interest rate could be anywhere from 2 to 4%. Right now it's at 7%. So when you calculate that into your monthly mortgage payment, it's a significant difference. And what they were trying to promote is the idea that these loans are fully assumable. The only catch is you've got to go to the bank that has the loan. So for instance, let's use Bank of Hawaii because they taught the class. If the seller, the buyer originally got the loan at Bank of Hawaii, now they're selling you, and I'm interested in assuming that VA loan, I've got to go to Bank of Hawaii to assume the loan. I can't go to another lender and ask that lender, hey, I want to assume Jason's selling his home and he's got a VA loan from Bank of Hawaii. I'd like to assume it. So it doesn't work that way. You've got to work with a lender who's carrying the loan. And Liz pointed out that I don't have to be a veteran to assume that loan. I can, it's fully assumable, meaning in that regard, I don't have to qualify because I'm a veteran as well. No, a non-military, non-vet could assume that loan.
And by that merit, I would say that might actually, the math actually might work out to be, quite a good deal for you if you're in the market.
Yes, there will be occurrences where that math is going to work out tremendously because they're paying that significantly lower rate. So their monthly payment is significantly lower than getting a VA loan right now. The kicker, though, is you've got to bridge the gap between the mortgage balance and the difference that the seller wants. And what we've learned and what we've understood now, we're asking the question from several banks, is that difference, you cannot borrow the difference. You've got to pay it in cash. But yeah, I mean, this could be an alternative for sellers. It could be a really great deal for buyers. And so for people that are interested, contact us and we'll figure out how to make it work.
Okay. And I guess, Liz, maybe my final question, I don't even know if this applies. I just, the way my brain works, I come up with like really weird stuff. But do people who qualify for VA loan and say like different hypothetical situation now, like say I served and I qualified for a VA loan a decade ago, right? I want to now kind of like, maybe I may be retired from the military or I just got out. I would like to avail of consolidation loans from my bank. Could I still qualify for a consolidation loan if I got a previous VA loan?
So your consolidation loans are totally different. It's a different type. So either you're refinancing your home, but the consolidation is totally different.
Okay. Yeah. How about refinancing though?
Well, you could probably try to refinance it, but under the VA,
Not
Yes.
under the VA, right? Because you got to work with a bank to.
Well, if you got your loan within the last 5-6 years, Jace, you honestly would not want to refinance it. But you want to sit down with your lender to talk about that, because imagine 5 years ago, up to a year ago, the interest rates were great.
Mhm.
So right now the interest rate is at 7%. So we always promote the idea that you have to sit down and do the math. If the difference in the interest rate is not more than or 2% or more, then you're really wasting money by trying to refinance. So anyone who has a relatively new loan would not actually want to refinance because the rates are going up, not down.
Okay. Because I
And
know a
these
lot of people
people-
kind of fall into the trap of, I mean, because you hear refinance and a lot of people think that's a really sexy solution, but you're actually saying like in some cases it could actually do damage to your bank account, right?
We've had people come in and say, hey, I want to refinance. So Gina and I would ask the question, well, what is your current interest rate? So, and then it would be based on what is happening today. So I've had people, I would discourage them from refinancing at this time because the rates are much higher. We were recommending refinancing way back when, last year, when the rates were down. And we've taken advantage of it personally as well. When I was paying, I think a 5% on my mortgage, and then when the rates went down, I was able to get 2.5. So, I mean, that was a great advantage. So again, depending on what their current mortgage is, what their current interest rate, then we help and guide them. But we've discouraged people who had the good interest rates.
Well, it's all about the art of the deal. I believe a very, very famous man once wrote in a book. He wound up being president later on. But a lot of the deal has to do with like the math, and no one knows about these deals and the intricacies that are inside them, like the two of you. So Liz, thank you very much. Enjoy the day down in our capital of Hagåtña. And Gina, please go to the 49ers game for me. Get some Ghirardelli chocolate.
Do they play are they playing Hagåtña right now? Because I will go if you'd like me to.
Or at least change your virtual background to the, to the Presidio, to the Golden Gate Bridge, to
Something, right?
Downtown. Yeah. Well, we wish you safe travels and come home safe.
Thank you,
All right,
Jace.
we'll see you next week, everybody.
Okay, bye-bye.